Today I'm going to talk very briefly on identification. A few people have asked me, why do we need identification? Well, if I were to ask you for an ID, what would you produce? You produce your driving license, you produce your birth certificate, you produce passport, Medicare card in Australia. And what you've got to ask yourself, what you've done when you produce these things, you have identified yourself as a person. And the purpose of identifying yourself as a man or as a woman, you must have ID to prove that. And what do you need to have? Well, just take a little short clip and have a look at a basic common law ID card and what it looks like. ID done is to send in a photo. Given names, obviously very important. If you only got one, that's okay. If you have a family crest, as the family name goes in there in brackets, which means it's actually on the document, but it's not part of the document because that's the deceased stated law. If you have an emblem, send it in and I put it up here, one place or the other, right? Make room for it. Live birth event. All that means live birth event. The date of birth, DOB, so the lay man or woman understands what DOLEB means. It's just date of birth, right? Address, Australia. Now the barcode. You don't send me a barcode. I send you an envelope registered. Those envelopes cost about $5.50. It's got a barcode on it. It comes by registered post and it's pretty slow. We're live again. Now the background here, as you can see, is Carrum River. And right ahead of me that way is the sea. And this is normally a very busy place with boats. And talking about boats, which are privately owned, cars are also privately owned. So we think. So when you register your car, it belongs to the authority that which you have registered with. So here in Melbourne, it's Vic Roads. They claim ownership of your vehicle. That's why they can, nowadays there's no proof of registration with stickers on the windscreens here. And a lot of people have forgot to register their car, which is naughty, but it happens. So if you get a member of the police force and you upset them, or they're in a bad mood, or whatever they like, they can confiscate that car, put it in the back of a tow truck. You will get fined for not having registration, which is, technically speaking, is your fault, and just because you forgot, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. They'll take it away and it'll cost you well over $1,000 to get it back off, plus you'll get a fine. Now, why are the police actually stealing your car then? No, they're not, because they're authorized, which is another word, authorized, to do so by the owners of the vehicle, which is Vic Roads. With the Common Law Court, we are now registering vehicles. Yes, we register them. We hate the word register, but you can list your vehicle with the Common Law Court. You will get a certificate of registration. I have to use that word, otherwise I'll spend a week trying to explain it. You will then become the lawful keeper and the lawful owner of your vehicle. So you'll get a certificate to say that you own it. So look on the website, it'll tell you what to do. Download the documents, vehicle registration. You'll get a master deed. Fill in the master deed. I'll show you a quick copy of it here before you any further. Fill in the master deed. Title deed. Very powerful document. It's a legal document and it has to be accepted by the authorities which claim ownership of your vehicle. And by this deed, change your name. Just read it there. Now, this is the bit you fill in: name, your given names, your family name in brackets, and of course the address. Then we come down to this little section here. You put in your given names. Nothing more, not the family name, just the given names. Absolutely, and so on. So just read it nice and steady across here. Former name. That's a surname goes in there. Deceased estate. And carry on. And as from the date, put the date in here. When it is, whatever month it is, it could be the 6th. Let's just go through the motions and put it in on the 21st. Okay, how about that? And it's not June. Carry on here, and then you put in your given names again, the substitute for the fictional name again, and then put this one in brackets. I'll put the brackets in here. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Anyway, brackets. Yeah, just put the name in brackets, the surname in brackets in relation to physical ownership, right? Carry on. The type of vehicle, let's say it's a Ford, it's a Ford. If it's a Toyota, it's a Toyota anyway. And then you just put in the registration number, and then we put in your given names again. Anything is underlined. When you download the document, it's all underlined. The pieces are underlined, need to be changed. Authorize and require. Oh, see, that's it. This is to simplify it for the authorities, right? And all as it is, it's, as it says there, removing it from a person to a given, to a living man or woman, right? And then Book of Deeds, we keep the details in Frankston, which is the head of Common Law Court International at present. Vehicle registration number again, the keeper, the names again. I put down Smith there. You can, whoever, it's not your name. Well, obviously you put in your name, wherever it is, in capitals preferably. The date again, the date transferred, the keeper, and the address of the keeper again. That's very important. Put your address in there again, and then the records will be kept at the Common Law Court. We will send you out a certificate and details of the transfer, and we will send the paperwork to the authorities, Vic Roads in Melbourne and Sydney, different authorities, and Queensland, wherever you may be. In fact, around the world, we can do it. But what it's doing is removing ownership from these corporations who are claiming ownership of a vehicle, and they can take impound and do what they wish with. Put an end to it. Support the Common Law Court and send $20 a donation to the address. It's on the paperwork, and that helps us to help you. Any further, fill in the master deed. You still have to pay your registration. No registration means no insurance. You can't drive without insurance, right? And if you do, you're a bloody idiot. The International Court of Justice is in The Hague, and that's where warrants are issued for world... Actually, these warrants, I'll give you an example. Kevin Arnott in Canada charged Pope Benedict, which is Cardinal Ratzinger, with crimes when he was in the Nazis and stuff against children. Spain picked up on the fact that the Common Law Court in Canada charged this man, Ratzinger, or Pope Benedict, and Spain gave the Catholic Church a very short period of time to step down, otherwise they'd take liens on their property. But in the meantime, they went to The Hague with the paperwork, that's from the Common Law Court, and The Hague issued an international warrant for the arrest of Cardinal Ratzinger, which was Pope Benedict. Now remember, we all remember this Pope stood down, and they brought in a Jesuit, which we still have, and the Jesuits of course own all the universities which they teach law in, and is untouchable and a very powerful character indeed. So remember that nobody's above the law, we're all equal.
Another fascinating article is by Theodore Dalrymple, who's been on this show, great writer who spent some time in Australia, and he points out he writes beautifully that what he fears, looking at Australia from the outside, is that the Republicans will construct a deeply and vicious racist policy. So he's seeing the Voice and the Republic somehow being conflated, which I mentioned before, all in the name of anti-racism. He says you'll end up with some kind of weird situation where there's a kind of republic which is based around where the head of the republic is a racial, i.e. Aboriginal or Indigenous entity. So he's seeing it heading in that direction, which terrifies him. To quote, he says, you'll have an Indigenous nomenclatura class that will depend for its power, wealth and influence on maintaining the very problems it is supposed to solve. And that is such a great point.
It's going to be a republic where it's a 2/3 majority of parliament. It's not a popular vote. We are going to get a figure like that. Yeah. We are going to get a Peter Fitzsimons type as the... Can you imagine that? The red bandana as the head of
From
state.
Balmoral Castle to Balmoral Beach. Yeah. But also, you ought to have to look to New Zealand and to everything that's been happening there with the racialization of their politics, to understand that this is exactly the way that we would wind up going here in Australia. Just look across the water to New Zealand, how that is all playing out. You'll see exactly the same thing here.
But this is what we used to have a thing called the cultural cringe in Australia, which is where we were always looking overseas and copying them. We've done the opposite now. We refuse to look overseas and to learn from overseas. We can learn, as we'll chatting shortly to a couple of people, we can learn from Europe, we can learn from Britain, we can learn from New Zealand, the mistakes they're making, but we blindly go ahead, refusing to...
On a nice spring sunny day. Thank you all for watching. Please come across to Rumble and press it's a little different system. Press rumbles. I don't know what it means, but you get rumbles, and subscribe to the channel. I will put a link on YouTube, which I usually do, to come across and subscribe. We'll still support YouTube, but unfortunately, because of we have to be very careful, as my mother used to say, God rest her soul, you have to weigh your words or walk on eggshells. Well, that's how it is for the time being, till things change. This is London Love News signing off. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe on YouTube, and please subscribe on Rumble, and support the Common Law Court. If you've got a few dollars, again at the end, you'll find some place to send it to. Bye for now.